Hi guys, I'm recording this video to show you some examples of packages which you can use to import data directly into R. And the examples I will go through today are for three packages, Quandl, quantmod, and WDI from the World Bank. As you know, you need to install the packages first. So to install the packages, so you need to follow the function install packages and then the name of the package between bracket and these two marks. And since I already have these packages installed in my computer, so I wouldn't execute these three lines again. So, but for you, if this is your first time to hear about these packages, you haven't used them in the past, then you will need to install them first, and then after that, when you start a new session, you need to activate this library using the library function. And in addition to these three libraries, I will also activate the ggplot2 for plotting graphs in R. So I'm going to activate these now, so the libraries are active. The first example is Quandl package, and say for example I want to download data about oil prices, and the function to use for whatever data you want to download from Quandl is Quandl. So you see this is the name of the function, and then you want to have the code for the data that you want to download. And how would you know that? So you need to go to quandl.com, as you can see here, and you could search for your whatever series you want. So first of all, you have these different types of data here, so you can explore these anytime you want. But for our example here, I want to download data about oil prices, so I'm going to search the website, their website for oil prices, and as you can see, this is available and it is free, and this is the code for the data. You still can see the data from here if you want to check the data and see what is available. It's daily data, and it is available up to yesterday, day before I'm recording this this video. So you obviously you can download the data from here, but the reason I'm recording this video is to show you how to import the data directly into R. Yes, you can download the data and then import them into R, but sometimes it's just more convenient if you can import the data directly into R. So we now know the Quandl code here. As you can see, it's OPIC ORB, and as I said, you already saw this is the same code here. So I'm just going to copy this, and you can see I already pasted this here in between the brackets. So once and what I want to do here is to not just to import the data, I want to save this data into an object which I called here oil. So you can call it, give it any name you want. So I'm going to execute this line, and this line will import the data. As you can see here, now I have a new data frame, a new object in my environment, which is a data frame that contains daily data for oil prices. And if you click here, you will see here, you see the date and the value, or the oil price. And that was up to, as I said, to 24th of October 2019. And this is the frequency is daily. So these are daily data. And you can explore this data. Maybe you can look at the head and the first few lines in your data. So head oil, this is the name of the object. The name I choose to for my object where my data is saved. And you see here, this is the date and value. You could see when the data starts. So the start date, just use the function tail, and that will print the last few lines in your rows in your data, as you can see here, and it goes back to January 2003. So what if I want to, for whatever reason, I want this data um, uh, to be ordered the other way? So the what comes up is the first, or the first row should be the date that going back to history, and then the last row should be the most recent data, which is just flipping that data that I have now. So it's just this command here is to order the data, as you can see. So I'm just giving it the same name because I just want to replace the original the object I have now with the new one, and the new one will be will order oil, and that will be ordered according to as date, so based on oil date. So if you go here into this, you will see that there is date column here, so it will sort my data based on the date column, and this just the format of the date, day, month, and year. So if I do that, and I'll show you what I mean now. So once I do that, then you'll see here that the data started, or the first row now is January, the second day in January 2003. It's more convenient when you deal with time series data is to change your data or your object from a data frame into a time series object. Or as you can see, if I check the current format of my object oil, so class oil, I use function class oil, that will show me that this is actually a data frame. So as I said, it's when you deal with time series econometrics, when you want to plot the series, for many reasons, it's really more convenient to convert this into a time series object, and that's what what I'm trying to do in this line. You see the function is called TS, and again I give it the same name because I don't want to create a new object in my environment. I actually want to replace the current object with the new object that is a time series object. So the command is TS, and then the column I want to convert to a time series, or the value of the oil prices, which is here called value. See, that's value. So if I just delete that, so within oil, inside oil, so in this data frame, once you put the dollar sign, it will give you the columns or the variables that exist in this data frame. And obviously I want to convert the value or the oil prices, so this column, into a time series object, and that starts from 2003. And as you can see, this is the start date, and that equal 2003, that's the year, and number one here is the first month, and the frequency of the data is 365, means this is daily data. So when you run this line here, so we'll convert this data frame, this object, from data frame to a time series object. As you can see here, now oil is a time series object, and you still can check from class here. Okay, as you can see now, it is TS or a time series object. You could also plot a series, and that's the oil prices, daily oil prices from January 2003 till yesterday, October 24th of October 2019. If you want to know more about the TS function, you could just type question mark and TS, and that will give you the help file for this function, and then you can learn more about how to use this function. So that was the first example, how to use a Quandl package in R to download data into R, directly into R. All what you need to do is just, this is the function, and then you need to know the code, the Quandl code of that series where you want to which one want to download. And as we said, this is something you could search for on Quandl, and if it is free, so you don't need a premium account for, then you should be able to download this data. So the second example I have today is from a different package which is called quantmod, and this package, the main function that you can use to download data is called get symbols, and again you need to know the symbol. And here is an example of stock prices. So it's very simple. So again, if I do that and I run this, we'll create an object here. It's time series object here. So it's the stock prices of Apple. And you can see the open price, the high, the low, the close price, etc. And you could get the column names using the function call names, and that these are the columns, the names of the columns. You could let's say if you want to print this data, if you want to print the close price for stock prices. So here, as you can see, the open price, the high. If you want to plot the close price, so all what you need to do is to type plot, the function plot, and this is the name of your object, AAPL, and then $sign just to call one of the columns to plot. And as I said, this is very you don't need to convert this because it's already time series object. And when you do that, then you plot this one, and here we go. So this is the stock price for Apple. This is the close price for Apple. So in the same, so let's say if you want to search for, so how do I know that AAPL is the code? So what if I want the exchange rate, for example? Then you just need to go and online, if you type quantmod here, you will see that there's a website here called quantmod.com, and there you can find more information about the codes and how to use the package. And here you can see our quant links, and here you can see more information about how to use this function. But for now, let's see. Let's say I want to download data about the exchange rate from the other source, because actually the nice thing about this data, this function, that it allows you, or this package, it allows you to download data from different sources, from Yahoo, from Google, etc. So one of the sources is the Fed, which is the Federal Reserve Bank. You could go there, and here, and then if you press enter, that will give me a list of the data, the available data. And you can see, for example, if I want this US Euro foreign exchange rate data, if you click on that, that should show you the data. But I don't need really the data. All what I need here is just the code for this data. And as I said before, you could download the data from here and then upload the data or import the data into R. So if you download it in Excel format, then you can use one of the functions that we used in the past to import data from Excel. But I said this video is to show you some examples of packages that you can use to import data directly into R, which is something I find more convenient than downloading the data in Excel sheet and then import the data from the Excel sheet. So all what I need here to do is to pick this, copy this code here, which again, this is the US Euro foreign exchange rate. And in you can see here in between brackets with the function. So I enter the code. And then the comma here is RC. It tells the function where to get the source of this data, where this come from. It's from Fred, F-R-E-D, and that's why. So as I said, this package allow you to import data from different sources, Yahoo, Google, etc., and Fred as well. So that's why I know the data is there. So that's why I get it from this source. And when you run this line, that should give us this data here, and that's the code, a new object that is named after the the code, and you could plot this data. So let's have a look inside here. So you see we have, this is the exchange rate and this is the daily exchange rate, and you could plot it by using the function plot, and that's the US Euro exchange rate daily data between January 1999 till 2019. So if you want to know more about how to use this, obviously you would need to go to the help file. So when you type question mark and then get symbols function, that will give you the as you can see this from the package quantmod, and that allow you to load and manage data from multiple sources. So you can read the help file and know more about how to use this package. The third example I want to show you is the World Development Indicator database, which is maintained by the World Bank, and it's a huge database again, and it has different economic indicators, and sometimes, well, you could go online in the World Bank database, in the WDI database, and get the code for the series you want to download. Or there's actually a nice function here which you can use, which called WDI, capital WDI, and then search, one word. So for example, if I want to search for GDP, that will give me all the codes for GDP. You see so many lines here, so I don't want really to go through all of this. So let me say I'll just look at the first 10 lines in this, and that will give me, as you can see here, we have the first one, the second one, so that different indicators that has GDP, because I was just searching for the term GDP. But let's say, for example, I want to search for something more specific. I mean, obviously, you could just use one of these codes if you want to GDP constant 2005 or GDP growth annual, and this is the code or the indicator. What if I want to be more specific? I can type different criteria into or between brackets for WDI search function to search for. And here, for example, I'm searching for GDP per capita and constant, and that give me a list of the available indicator with this name. So let's say if I want to collect data about GDP here, let's say we want to pick this one, okay, which is the GDP per capita, PPP, purchasing power parity, constant 2011, international dollars. So all what I need to do is just to pick this code here for this this indicator here, the name, and all what you need to do is to use the function called WDI, and you can store this in a variable in an object I call data. And then indicator here equal the indicator name, as we said, and then you could either collect this indicator data for this indicator for all countries. So instead of entering some codes for countries or number of countries, you could just say all, and that will collect GDP per capita, this indicator data for this indicator for all countries available in WDI. Or instead of that, you could just specify what countries you want to collect the data for. In this example, I include a group of countries, Mexico, Canada, and the United States, and you put the ISO 2 digits, which is the short name for the country. So how do I know this? So if you go in Google and you just put the ISO 2, so that will give you the list of let me just show you here. So I just typed here ISO 2 country codes, and this give me a list of countries in the world with the 2 digit code and the 3 digit codes. So if I want Mexico, just search for Mexico, for example, you can see here Mexico, it's MX. If you search for what Canada is, so again, so CA. So so you can find out the codes, or which country, the codes for the countries you want to download data for. And here start, meaning the start date, which I choose to be 1960 here, and the end date to 2018. So that should download the data that exists in the WDI database between 1960 to 2018 for GDP per capita in that case. In this example, for 3 countries, Mexico, Canada, and United States, and we'll store that into an object called data. So let me run this one. Now what we see, yes, we got here an object, a data frame that's called data, and as I said, you can give it any name you want. And you see here the country code, and then country, and then here's the value of the GDP per capita, and then here is the year. So we downloaded the data. You could just, if you want to check the column names, here I'm just checking the column names, and I'm actually renaming the columns, because what I want to do here, I just want to replace this indicator, which doesn't mean if you have so many indicators there, you'd be really confusing to know what is what. So what I want to do here is to just rename this column to GDP rather than the indicator code here. And that's why, so I kept the other as the same as the first one. I just called it code rather than ISO 2C. So I just called it code, and then country is the same. I left it country, and then the third one here should be GDP, and then the last one is year. So that should be fine. So I renamed them. So if you run this line again, you will see that now the names of these columns now became code, country, GDP, year. So now I know what they are. And again, as I said, the data is downloaded as data frame, so you can check that from class. But well, a more convenient way, because we have now like a long data in the long form, then it's easier to use a ggplot to plot this data. So what I did here, I used ggplot function. Remember, we already activated this library ggplot2 here. So I'm using here ggplot function, and then the name of my data set or data frame that I want to plot. And then here year is the variable on the horizontal axis, and then on the vertical axis I want GDP, and then I want to differentiate these colors, so different lines for so one line for each country, and that will be based on country. So so Canada will have GDP for the series will have one color, US will have a different color, and Mexico will have a different color. And obviously I want this to be line, and these are the labels for both axes. So the X label is year, because we said the year is in the horizontal axis. We measure this on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis we have per capita GDP. So let me just try this, and now we're just plotting the data, and you can see here now it's working here. So we have these are the 3 series here are in one plot. And so one way to do it, as I said, so you could go through WDI search, or you could, another way to get the indicator name is just to go on the World Bank database. You could just say WDI World Bank, and then when you go there, okay, so you can type any variable or any indicator you want, and then you just found the code for that indicator. Okay, so this was a very quick video to show you examples, 3 examples of packages which you can use to download data, to import data directly into R. So we looked at Quandl, quantmod, and WDI. Thank you for following, and I'll see you next video.